In 2003, we had the first Challenge Beast winner of Survivor in Jenna Morasca with her win on Season 6 Survivor the Amazon. I've never been super high on Jenna's game. While she's in a good spot early on, it all falls apart in the back half. So let's walk through Jenna's win, highlighting the positives and recognizing the negatives. Jenna walks onto this season as a member of the John Baru tribe. We don't see a ton of strategic content from Jenna in these early episodes, but in their first tribal council, she's a part of the consensus plan to knock out Janet. Once we get a bit deeper into the season, Jenna establishes her core alliance with Shauna and Heidi. Jenna's treatment of Chrissy in this stretch was not great. Chrissy straight up says that she felt isolated by a lot of the younger women on that tribe. Anyways, Shauna struggles with the physical conditions of the game, so headed into their second tribal, she was a legitimate target. Jenna wanted to keep Shauna around, so she approaches Christy with an alternate plan. Going up to Christy, out of all people, felt like a wild decision from Jenna, but it works out. Joanna is knocked out over Shauna in a 4-2-1 vote. In episode 5, we get a tribe swap where the two youngest players on the cast have an opportunity to draft new tribes. One of those captains was Jenna, so we need to remember that she selected this group of 6. Over time, there's some chemistry that develops between Shauna and Alex. Rob picks up on that dynamic, and he gathers the numbers against Shauna in order to pull Alex closer to his side. Jenna goes along with this plan, effectively knocking out her second closest ally in the game. It's a clear example of Jenna caving to the strategic interests of her competition. Right before the merge, Rob pulls this tribe together and pitches a plan where they continue to work together into the second half. Rob wants to knock out 3 of the men on his original tribe who he did not trust. Those are Butch, Roger, and Dave. At Final 10, this new 6-person majority forms of Jenna's swap tribe plus her number 1 ally in Heidi. The two names circulating around camp are Roger and Dave. Jenna correctly realizes that voting out Roger is the ideal move because it would mean that Roger would not receive a spot on the jury. Roger had some blatant biases on this season, and Jenna was probably correct in that he would not vote for a woman in the final tribal council. They take him out in a 7-3 vote, and this move was much better for Jenna's future jury prospects. Then at Final 9, this group stays together, sending Dave home unanimously. The Final 8 marks the point in the season where this alliance turns on each other. Dina comes up with this idea to blindside Alex, and Alex responds by targeting Dina. That puts Jenna in a difficult spot. After Heidi, Alex and Dina were 2 of Jenna's closest allies. Jenna and Heidi side with Alex, which makes this trio of Rob, Butch, and Matthew the real swing votes on the board. They decide to roll with Jenna's side, and Dina is taken out 6-2. That move sets up the 4 younger players to officially take control of the game. At first, it felt like this alliance would stick together for the next 3 rounds. And had that happened, Jenna would have been in a great spot to reach the final tribal council due to her position at the center of this alliance. That all changes when Alex basically tells Rob that he's number 4 in their group. Rob jumps into action. He wins individual immunity, and he flips on the younger players, taking out Alex in a 4-3 vote. This is one of the worst rounds of the season for Jenna. It completely throws off her vision of the end game, and she never fully recovers. The final 6 is the most strategically complex round of the season. Matthew wins the reward challenge, which he willingly gives up to the rest of the cast. Now, Rob initially intended on rolling with Matthew to the final 2, but after that move, he starts to question if he can beat Matthew in the end. Rob responds by approaching Jenna with the final 2 deal, which she does not believe since Rob just backstabbed her in the previous round. Anyways, Jenna wins immunity, which means that Heidi is the initial target of the majority. Leading up to Tribal, Christy expresses some hesitancy with this move, and Rob feels that he can no longer trust her. He pulls the numbers against Christy, knocking her out in a 4-2 vote. It's also worth mentioning that Jenna gives her immunity necklace to Heidi at Tribal Council. If Rob truly wanted to go to the final 2 with Jenna, then she could afford losing immunity if it meant protecting her number 1 ally. To be honest, I don't think this move did much to actually change the outcome of the vote, but it shows some game awareness on Jenna's end. Headed into the final 5, Jenna is still positioned on the bottom. Rob straight up tells the women that their plan is to knock out Heidi at 5 and Jenna at 4. At Tribal Council, Jenna loses her number 1 ally, and this was a major blow to her game. Now, I'll credit Jenna for presenting herself as the lesser threat of the 2, but it's still not great that she lost Heidi at all. At the beginning of the finale, Jenna is the top target on the board. If she cannot win immunity, this alliance will vote her out. Luckily for Jenna, she wins the challenge, which opens up her strategic options. Matthew approaches her and says that if she works with him to vote out Butch, he will take her to the final 2. Jenna accepts that deal and Butch is eliminated in a 3-1 vote. That takes us to the final 3, where theoretically Jenna has a path to the end if either herself or Matthew win final immunity. However, Matthew knows that both Rob and Jenna intend on taking him to the final tribal, so he throws the final immunity challenge in order to avoid voting someone out and potentially burning a jury vote. Jenna beats Rob in final immunity, and she makes the correct decision of voting him out. Once again though, if Jenna loses the challenge to Rob, she goes out in 3rd place. You end up with this final tribal council between Jenna and Matthew, where Jenna nearly sweeps the jury, earning 6 out of 7 jury votes. One thing that I gotta credit Jenna for on this season is her win equity. Outside Rob, I feel that Jenna beats most of her competition in a jury vote. Even against Rob, I think it's really close, but Rob squeaks it out 4-3. Overall, I have Jenna's win on Survivor the Amazon ranked as the 41st best winning game of Survivor. She stands at the top of my bottom tier, titled Clueless with Twist and Challenge Reliance. There's some positives with Jenna's game, like the Joanna boot in the pre-merge and the Roger blindside at the final 10, but unfortunately, there are also multiple rounds of suboptimal play from Jenna. She cuts Shauna in the early game, she's blindsided by the Alex vote at the final 7, and she's effectively on the bottom the rest of the way, requiring immunity wins at the final 4 and the final 3. In my opinion, this is one of the 10 worst winning games in Survivor history. Anyways, let me know your thoughts on Jenna's game.